Look at these renderings of the Philadelphia 76ers new stadium. They call it 76 Place, but why are the 76ers even creating a new stadium in the center of the city? And why are there a lot of people pissed about this? So to understand this, we gotta talk a little bit about the Philadelphia Sports Complex. You see, the Sports Complex is in South Philly, and if you've been to any of the Philly games, you know that pretty much all the teams play here except for the Philadelphia Union. Here is Lincoln Financial Field, where the Eagles Stadium is, Citizens Bank Park, where the Phillies play, and Wells Fargo Center, where the Flyers and 76ers play. But here's the thing about Wells Fargo Center. It's unique compared to the other stadiums because unlike Lincoln Financial Field, which is owned by the Eagles, or Citizens Bank Park, which is owned by the Phillies, the 76ers don't actually own Wells Fargo Center. And it creates a problem for the team. They don't control anything that happens there. Not the scheduling, nothing. People say that the 76ers are actually the third priority in Wells Fargo Center. This is why you see the Sixers play so many back-to-back games, why there's constant scheduling conflicts between the Flyers, Sixers, and anything else that's happening in the stadium. And after years of being tired of having a roommate with the Flyers, the Sixers organization started looking at their options. They basically wanted their own stadium where they had full control, but this raised some big questions. Where do they do this? Do they stay in Philly? Do they go across the river to Camden, New Jersey, where they already have a practice facility? I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine the Philadelphia Sixers playing anywhere other than Philly. An historic franchise leaving the city would be crazy. But recently, they ended up deciding to stay, opting to build a brand new stadium. The problem was, it was basically in Chinatown.
Our voice needs to be heard.
Police say between 500 and 700 people marched to push back on the possibility of an arena near their neighborhood.
76 Place. Jeff, this is just another chapter in the Sixers' quest for their own arena in Market East.
So after looking into all their options, the team came up with a plan, a $1.55 billion arena called 76 Place. They're planning to build it here in Center City, specifically between Market and Filbert Street, 10th and 11th Street. If you know the area, it's part of that fashion district that they created that, let's be honest, many Philadelphia residents just didn't think was a success. The timeline for the project is pretty far out. They're looking to start construction in 2028, open the arena by 2031. Now, this might seem like a while from now, but it actually lines up perfectly with when the Sixers end their lease at Wells Fargo Center. And if you ask fans about the plan, you get some pretty mixed reactions. Some people are genuinely thrilled about having a new stadium with all the modern facilities, but others, they're not so thrilled about letting go of that unique Philadelphia sports experience. See, right now, having all the teams in one place creates this unique one-of-a-kind atmosphere. People love tailgating in those massive parking lots, and the idea of driving into Center City or relying on public transportation, that's not really getting some fans excited. And while parking and tailgating are a big concern, that's not the main issue that most people are worried about. There's a much bigger story here, and it has to do with the arena's impact on one of Philadelphia's most historic neighborhoods. The thing is, the arena is going to be pretty much in Chinatown. Now, the reports are that there won't be any direct housing displacement, but rather the domino effect that this could create. Let's break down a few numbers. According to estimates, about half of Chinatown's small businesses are expected to suffer negative effects from this arena. Only 1 in 5, that's around 20%, might actually benefit from it. But here's the thing, approximately 75% of Chinatown's small businesses don't own their properties. That means property values go up, rent increases start hitting, which makes these businesses extremely vulnerable, which is the main complaint that most people have. But even if you just think about the practical issues, imagine trying to go to your favorite restaurant in Chinatown or any of the businesses when there's a Sixers game going on. The traffic, the congestion, the crowds. And remember, there's no massive parking lot like they have in the sports complex in South Philly. Sure, SEPTA, the public transportation, says that they'll offer more rides to handle the massive crowds. But let's be real, if you know anything about American public transportation, that's a pretty big if. But the most concerning part for residents of the area is the 6-year construction plan. 6 years of noise, disruption, construction work. And do you really want to eat at a restaurant when there's so much construction going around? Or go to a business when there's so much construction going around? A lot of people won't. So these businesses aren't just worried about what happens when the arena opens. They're worried about surviving long enough to even see that day. Organizations like Save Chinatown have been vocal about this, saying that the arena poses an existential threat to the neighborhood. We've seen protests around the city, and a survey by Philadelphia Chinatown Development Corporation found that 90% of business owners, residents, and visitors oppose this project, with their main concern being that they're worried about losing Chinatown's core identity, cultural significance, and everything that makes it special to the city. And these concerns aren't just coming out of nowhere. We've seen this story before with cities like LA, Seattle, Washington, Chicago, where new stadiums or plans for new stadiums have or will have serious gentrifying effects on low-income communities. The question is Philadelphia going to be any different? But let's just break down the quick timeline of how we even got here.
I am Sherelle L. Parker.
So back in July of 2022, the Sixers dropped their initial plan, the $1.55 billion arena. Over the next few years, things were pretty quiet. Well, that's because behind the scenes, people were trying to quietly push through legislation to make the arena happen, combating the initial outcry by residents. But then the 2023 mayoral election hit, and this became a pretty big political issue. Fast forward to 2024, Mayor Sherelle Parker announces her support for the arena, announcing a series of community benefits that come with it. Now, some people say that she's sold out to the Sixers, and here's where it gets a little complicated. You see, there were rumors floating around that the Sixers were threatening to move to Camden, New Jersey. Now, before you think that wasn't going to actually happen, the reason this was even considered is because the Sixers actually practiced there. They got like a state-of-the-art practice facility in Camden. And it's not that crazy, right? Like the New York Giants and the New York Jets play in New Jersey. And New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy was putting together a pretty nice tax incentive package, offering tax incentives up to $800 million if the team were to move there. So all this put Mayor Sherelle Parker in a tough spot, or at least what people say. So the city was kind of backed into a corner if you think about it. They obviously couldn't see an historic franchise like the 76ers leave the city. And also the Sixers just didn't want to leave either. They know fans are not going to cross the river just to go to a Sixers game on like a Wednesday night. But sometimes just the threat of leaving is all you really need to get what you want. But here's the thing, this isn't just a Philadelphia story. We're seeing this happen all across the country. Sports teams trying to own the entire real estate around their sports complex. Why? Because watching sports has evolved from just watching the game to being about the entire experience. With the way the world is going, sports is going to be one of the only things that we can experience live, have an authentic and as much of an unedited experience as we can get. That's why people are calling this trend of sports teams owning the entire real estate sports anchor development. Basically transforming traditional stadiums into full-blown entertainment districts. We're talking retail spaces, restaurants, bars, hotels, office buildings, residential units, and let's be honest, casinos and places people can bet. In America, it's basically becoming a betting and drinking thing. Just look at Mark Cuban. He sold a majority stake of the Dallas Mavericks to the Adelson family. This is a prime example of where things are headed. Cuban straight up has admitted on many talk shows that since he wasn't a real estate person and he saw that the future of sports franchises lies in having partners who are great at development, the Adelson family came knocking and it was a done deal. They're a big casino and resort and development gambling group. It makes perfect sense why they'd partner up and turn that entire Dallas area into a sports entertainment district. And it's not just the Mavs. If you look around the league and other sports franchises, the Los Angeles Clippers built their own new stadium because they didn't want to be Lakers' roommate. They wanted to own the entire experience. The Chicago Bears were causing controversy by potentially moving from downtown Chicago to the suburbs at Arlington Heights. The Los Angeles Rams' new stadiums in Atlanta doing the same thing. Every sports team is basically figuring out that this is the future. They all want the same thing, to own their facilities and have entertainment districts all around it. They want you to come and spend the entire day at the game. Spend your money there, gamble, buy things, go to their restaurants that pay rent to them. It's no longer just about going to the game, it's about having your attention and effectively your wallet for the entire experience. And that's exactly what the Philadelphia 76ers are trying to do here. And they tried to do it with the same exact playbook that we see in other cities. Public funds, billionaires asking for taxpayer incentives, with the same concerns about gentrification, traffic, environmental impact, while also offering promised economic benefits that most people are pretty skeptical about. But in the case of Philly and some other teams, yes, there's also that nostalgic historical feel to it for the fans that they just don't want to let go of. But this is where sports is headed, whether we like it or not. Look, don't get me wrong. When this is finally built, this is going to be a great experience, at least from the fan perspective, except for that parking lot and tailgating. I think Philly fans are going to miss that. But if they can somehow get the public transportation right, being in the center of the city, having great restaurants, bars, the whole scene could be pretty special and unlike anything that we've seen happen in Philly sports. But here's the reality. If you want to create that experience in Center City, there's going to have to be a group of people that will suffer for it. And unfortunately, when there's money involved and billionaires involved, money talks. Sure, people will say that they have your back, that they care about you, that they hear you when you protest, and they understand your concerns. Maybe they do feel a little bad, but when Josh Harris and the Philadelphia 76ers come, they probably only feel a little bad for a little bit, not even that long. So yeah, this story right now is about the Philadelphia 76ers. Tomorrow it'll be about another city and another team and another group of people. They'll be kicked out. But this is happening across the country and really across the world. So this arena is coming. That's a done deal. So let's see what happens.